Mara stood on the observation deck of the alien warship, her long silver hair flowing behind her like a comet's tail. Below her, the training arena glowed with holographic projections of battles that had taken place across the galaxy. The room was filled with the best warriors of her species, all practicing, studying, and honing their skills. Mara was different. She did not need to practice. Her victories were always certain, her movements precise, and her instincts sharp. The other warriors spoke in low murmurs as she passed. "Have you heard the stories?" one said. "They say a human fighter once faced a fleet alone." Mara turned her head slightly, her eyes narrowing. "Humans?" she said with a laugh. The word sounded strange on her tongue, almost like a joke. "They are weak, fragile, and slow. Any warrior would crush one in minutes." Another warrior, a young male named Zoran, spoke hesitantly. "But the myths describe their courage and their cleverness. Some say humans have survived impossible battles." Mara smiled, a cold, sharp smile. "Cleverness?" she repeated. "I have fought entire fleets. I have crushed monsters that could destroy planets. Do you think a human could even lift a weapon in the heat of battle and survive?" The group fell silent. No one dared to argue. Mara's reputation was unmatched. She had fought on the front lines of every war her people had faced. She had never been defeated. To her, humans were only a story, a faint whisper of a species that could never truly matter in the galaxy. The announcement came over the ship's communication system. "Commander Mara," the voice said, calm but urgent. "A human ship has been detected entering our sector. It has passed patrol checkpoints without identification and is heading toward neutral space. Instructions are pending." Mara raised an eyebrow and let out a soft chuckle. "A human ship? I will handle this myself," she said. "It will be entertaining to see how fragile they really are." She left the observation deck and moved through the corridors of the ship, her boots clicking against the metal floor. Soldiers and crew members watched her pass, some bowing slightly out of respect, others whispering in fear. She reached the command center, where holographic displays floated in mid-air, showing the location of the human vessel. The ship was small, simple, almost primitive. Its design was nothing compared to the sleek, powerful alien vessels that surrounded it. Mara studied it with interest, not concern. She tapped her fingers against the control panel, bringing up scans of the ship. The readings were basic, showing limited weapons, low shields, and a small crew. "Pathetic," she muttered. "A human thinks they can travel among the stars and face us? How amusing." The commander of the fleet, Talo, stepped forward. His eyes were sharp and calculating. "Mara, this is not a mission for entertainment. Humans are unpredictable. We know little about them. Exercise caution." Mara smiled, showing teeth that were sharper than humans. "Talo, you worry too much. I will show them the strength of our kind. One human will not change anything." Talo's gaze was steady. "Do not underestimate them. Remember the stories. Even weak creatures can surprise those who think themselves invincible." Mara laughed again, a sound that echoed through the command center. "Stories are only stories. I live in reality. Humans are myths, nothing more." Within hours, Mara's ship approached the human vessel. The stars stretched endlessly around them, but Mara felt no awe. She was in her element, confident in her skill and power. The human ship was smaller than she expected, but still intact. It floated calmly, almost defiantly, as if it knew it could face her. Mara activated her ship's communication system. "Human vessel, identify yourself," she said. Her voice was clear, confident, and full of authority. A calm reply came from the human ship. "This is the vessel Horizon. We mean no harm. We request safe passage through this sector." Mara studied the ship. There was no fear in their voice, no hesitation. This was unusual. She had expected panic, weakness, or surrender. Instead, the human sounded composed. "Safe passage?" she repeated. "Do you not know who you are speaking to? I am Mara, warrior of the Xylan fleet. Any human in my path would be destroyed in moments. A short pause. Then the voice replied, steady and unwavering. We are aware of your reputation. We do not seek conflict, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. Mara's eyes narrowed. She had never encountered such calm resolve in a species so small and seemingly fragile. Curiosity sparked within her. Perhaps these myths were more than just stories. She made her decision. Very well. You will meet me in the neutral station for a duel. If you survive, you may continue your journey. If not, you will know the price of entering this sector. The human ship altered its course, heading toward the neutral station. Mara felt a thrill she had not experienced in years. A challenge. Something unexpected. Something that might entertain her. Hours later, Mara stepped onto the platform of the neutral station. The station was quiet, almost sterile, with smooth walls and soft light. There were no crowds, no spectators. This was to be a test of skill, not showmanship. The human fighter emerged from the horizon. He was smaller than Mara, with lean muscles and simple armor. His eyes were clear and steady. Mara studied him, noting his posture, his calmness, and the way he carried himself. Are you the human? She asked, her tone dripping with amusement. He nodded. I am Rin. I will face you as a fighter. I do not seek war, only to defend myself and my crew. Mara laughed aloud. The sound echoed through the station. You? A fighter? You do not even look strong enough to lift a weapon properly. This will be amusing. Rin did not respond. He simply stood, watching her carefully, analyzing every movement. Mara found this intriguing. He did not panic, did not tremble. He did not even show fear. The duel began. Mara struck first, fast and precise, her movements a blur. She expected Rin to falter, to stumble under the speed and power of her attacks. But Rin moved with surprising agility. He dodged, weaved, and countered in ways that Mara had not anticipated. Each strike Mara made was met with strategy, each maneuver calculated and unexpected. He did not match her strength, but he used speed, timing, and clever tactics to stay in the fight. Mara felt a shock of disbelief. How could a human move like this? How could a creature so small survive against someone of her power? The duel continued for hours. Mara tested every technique she knew, every skill she had perfected over decades. Rin adapted, thinking creatively, improvising, and predicting her moves. Mara's amusement turned to curiosity, and curiosity turned to a grudging respect she had never felt before. At one point, Mara paused, breathing heavily. She had never had to pause during a duel before. Rin's eyes met hers, steady and unyielding. There was no arrogance, only focus. No fear, only determination. Mara realized something. This was not a simple human. This was something more, something she had dismissed as a myth. And yet, here, he was alive, standing before her, challenging her skill and surviving. She lowered her weapon slightly, a gesture she had never made for anyone. You are different, she said almost to herself. I underestimated you. Perhaps the myths are not entirely false. Rin nodded. Humans are stronger than you think. We adapt, we endure, and we fight when necessary. Do not assume weakness based on size or species. Mara stared at him, her mind racing. For the first time, she felt uncertainty. The duel had shaken her confidence. She had always believed herself invincible. But now, faced with a human, she felt the faint stir of doubt. The bell signaling the end of the duel rang through the station. Neither fighter had fully surrendered, but it was clear that Rin had earned Mara's attention. She stepped back, lowering her weapon completely. Leave for now, she said. I will watch your kind more closely. You have proven something. I do not yet understand what, but it is real. Rin bowed slightly, then returned to his ship. Mara watched him go, her mind racing with questions she had never considered. Humans were no longer a myth to mock. They were real, and their strength was unlike anything she had ever encountered. As Mara returned to her ship, she realized that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and humans were more than stories. Perhaps they were the key to something new, something powerful and something worth watching. For the first time in her life, Mara felt anticipation, not for battle, but for discovery. The neutral station floated silently in the middle of empty space, its metal walls gleaming under soft artificial lights. Mara's ship had docked quietly, but her mind was far from calm. She had never been challenged like that before. Humans were supposed to be weak, fragile, and easy to defeat. Yet Rin had moved with speed, strategy, and courage that Mara could not ignore. She had laughed at the myths of human fighters, but now she wondered if those myths contained more truth than she had ever imagined. Mara paced the deck of her ship, her mind racing. Commander Tallow had warned her not to underestimate humans, but she had ignored his advice. Now she could not deny what she had seen. Rin had survived her attacks, adapted to her techniques, and countered in ways she had never expected. For the first time in her career, Mara felt something unfamiliar, respect mixed with curiosity. She activated the ship's communication system. "Tallow," she said, her voice calmer than usual. "I want more information on the human vessel and its crew. Prepare a full report. I want to understand exactly what I am dealing with." Tallow's voice came through the speakers. "Understood, Mara. I will gather all available intelligence. Humans are rare in this sector, and their technology is different from ours. They do not rely on the same patterns we expect." Mara nodded, though she did not need to show it. Intelligence was important, but she had already seen enough to know that Rin was no ordinary human. She would face him again not as a test of skill alone, but as a way to understand a species that had been dismissed as insignificant for too long. Hours later, Mara left her ship and walked toward the platform where Rin and his crew were waiting. The horizon floated steadily, its simple design a stark contrast to Mara's sleek, advanced vessel. Rin stood on the deck, calm and composed, watching her approach. His armor was modest, his weaponry simple, but there was a confidence in his stance that Mara could not ignore. "Rin," she said, her voice even but sharp, "we meet again. I want to understand why humans are considered myths among my people. You survived our first encounter. That is rare." Rin inclined his head slightly. "I am not here to prove myths or stories. I only fight to defend myself and my crew, but I will face you again if necessary." Mara's eyes narrowed. She could sense his strength, not in his muscles, but in his mind. Humans were unpredictable, and Rin's calm determination was unsettling. She gestured toward the open arena. "A duel again? This time no interruptions. We will see if you can survive not just my attacks, but the full skill of a Xylan warrior." Rin nodded, and the two moved to the center of the arena. The holographic simulations remained inactive, leaving only the bare metal floor and walls. The air was tense, filled with the anticipation of combat, yet Mara felt a new kind of excitement. She had faced hundreds of opponents, but none had challenged her perception of reality as Rin had. The duel began. Mara struck with precision, her movements fluid and deadly. She had anticipated Rin's patterns based on the first encounter, but he did not repeat them. He moved unpredictably, combining speed and clever tactics to evade her attacks. Each strike Mara made was met with counter moves she had never seen before. Mara's eyes widened. Rin was not relying on brute force or advanced technology. He was thinking, adapting and creating opportunities from small openings. His mind worked faster than Mara had expected. The human seemed to anticipate her reactions without following any predictable pattern. "You are clever," Mara admitted, blocking a strike and countering quickly, "but you are still human. You cannot match my strength for long." Rin did not respond with words. He simply moved, using every advantage in his environment. He ducked under Mara's sweeping attack and launched a counterstrike that forced her to jump back. The simplicity of his movements hid the precision and intelligence behind them. Mara could feel the energy of a mind that never stopped analyzing, never stopped learning, and never stopped adapting. As the duel continued, Mara began to notice a pattern. Rin did not rely on raw power. He relied on ingenuity, speed, and strategy. Every move was calculated yet flexible. He adapted to her attacks and used them against her. Mara had never encountered an opponent who could turn her own strength into vulnerability. Mara's breathing grew heavier. The fight was demanding more from her than she expected. She had assumed she would dominate easily, but Rin forced her to think, to change tactics, and to anticipate unpredictability. Mara's usual confidence wavered, replaced by focus and curiosity. At one point, Rin used the environment to his advantage. He activated a small drone from his suit, creating a distraction that Mara had not predicted. She struck at the drone instinctively, and Rin moved past her, landing a precise strike on her shoulder. Mara felt the sting of the attack, not enough to wound seriously, but enough to surprise her. "You see?" Rin said calmly, his voice steady. "We do not rely on size or strength alone. We adapt, we learn, and we overcome. That is how humans survive." Mara stepped back, reassessing. She realized that she had underestimated not only Rin but his entire species. Humans were not weak. They were resilient, creative, and fearless in ways that the Xylan could not fully understand. Mara had thought myths were exaggerations, but now she understood that there was truth behind every story she had dismissed. The duel continued for several hours. Neither fighter gave up, and neither could claim complete victory. Mara's attacks were powerful and precise, but Rin's adaptability kept him in the fight. He used strategy, timing, and agility to counter her every move. Mara began to respect him, realizing that the myths of human fighters were based on more than imagination. They were based on real strength, real courage, and real skill. Finally, both fighters paused, breathing heavily. The arena was quiet except for the soft hum of the station's systems. Mara's chest rose and fell with each breath. She had never fought an opponent like Rin. He was small, seemingly fragile, and yet he had challenged her at every turn. Mara lowered her weapon slightly. "You are unlike any human I have imagined," she admitted. "Your strength is not in muscle or weaponry. It is in your mind and your will. That is something I have never faced before." Rin nodded, his calm expression unwavering. Strength is not only physical. Humans survive by thinking, by adapting, and by never giving up. You may have underestimated us because you only looked at size and appearance. Mara's eyes softened slightly. She had learned something important today. The myths were true. Humans were strong, but in ways that the Xylan could not easily understand. They did not rely on overwhelming power or advanced technology. They relied on creativity, courage, and intelligence. "You have my attention," Mara said finally. "Perhaps it is time I observe humans more closely. I want to see if your strength extends beyond this duel." Rin smiled faintly. "You are welcome to learn. Humans are capable of more than most believe. We may surprise you." As Mara left the arena, she could not shake a feeling she had never felt before: anticipation. Humans were no longer a species to dismiss. They were a puzzle, a challenge, and perhaps a key to understanding something larger in the galaxy. Back on her ship, Mara sat in her command chair, reviewing the data from the duel. Every move Rin had made was logged, analyzed, and compared to Xylan techniques. The patterns he had used were unconventional yet effective. Mara realized that humans were not bound by rules or traditions like her people. They were free, creative, and unpredictable. "Perhaps the myths are not exaggerations," Mara murmured to herself. "Perhaps humans are more than stories. Perhaps they are the future." The human ship, Horizon, was already leaving the neutral station. Rin and his crew were calm as if nothing had happened. Mara watched them go, her mind filled with questions. How far could humans go? What were they capable of? Could one human really change the way the galaxy saw an entire species? Mara did not have the answers yet, but she knew one thing clearly. She would not underestimate humans again. They were no longer myths, no longer stories to mock. They were real, and their strength was undeniable. For the first time, Mara felt excitement not for battle alone, but for discovery. She wanted to see humans in action, to understand their methods, and to witness what made them truly remarkable. As the stars stretched endlessly beyond the viewport, Mara's mind raced with possibilities. The galaxy was vast, and humans were a small yet extraordinary part of it. She had laughed at the myths of human fighters, but now she knew that some myths were born from truth, and Rin had shown her that truth. Mara could not stop thinking about Rin. Days had passed since their first duel, and still the image of his calm, focused eyes haunted her. He had survived her attacks, adapted to her techniques, and proved that humans were far stronger than she had imagined. Mara had always believed that strength was measured in power and skill alone. Now she realized that strength could also come from ingenuity, courage, and resilience. She paced the deck of her ship, her hands behind her back. Commander Tallow watched her silently, knowing that Mara's thoughts were far from routine strategy. "You cannot stop thinking about him," Tallow said finally. "That human has made an impression on you. Mara stopped, narrowing her eyes. He is not just a human, she said softly. He is something else. I have never faced anyone who can think, react, and fight like he does. There is intelligence in his movements, purpose in his strikes. I need to understand it. Tallow nodded. Be careful. Admiration can turn into underestimation if you are not cautious. Humans are unpredictable. You must remain vigilant. Mara ignored his warning. She already knew that. Her curiosity outweighed caution. She ordered her ship to follow the horizon, the human vessel, to its next destination. She did not intend to attack. She only wanted to observe, to study, and to challenge again if necessary. The horizon traveled through a sector of unclaimed planets, moving swiftly and efficiently. Mara noted the humans' navigation techniques, their resource management, and the coordination between crew members. Each action was deliberate, precise, and adapted to the circumstances. This was not the randomness she had expected from a primitive species. This was order, discipline, and intelligence wrapped in simplicity. Mara realized that humans were capable of more than legends could describe. They survived not because they were physically superior, but because they thought faster, adapted quicker, and never gave up. Each observation added a layer of respect and fascination. Days later, Mara approached the horizon again. This time she did not announce her presence immediately. She wanted to see how the human crew would react under pressure, without knowing she was near. The horizon continued its course, seemingly unaware of her ship. Mara smiled. Discipline and calm, just like Rin had displayed. Finally, she activated communication. "Human vessel, I wish to speak with your fighter," she said. Rin's voice came calmly from the speakers. "This is Rin, you may speak. We mean no harm unless provoked." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Rin, I have been observing your movements, your strategy, your crew. I want to challenge you again. This is not a duel for glory. This is a duel to understand human strength." There was a pause. Then Rin responded. "Very well. We will meet at the neutral station. I will face you again." The announcement set the stage for what Mara anticipated would be a battle unlike any she had ever fought. She prepared herself fully, knowing that Rin was not a simple opponent. This would be a test of everything she knew about combat, strategy, and adaptability. When Mara arrived at the neutral station, Rin was already waiting. This time there was a subtle difference in his stance. He seemed more prepared, more deliberate, and more confident. Mara felt a thrill of excitement she had not experienced in decades. "Rin," she said, her voice calm yet sharp, "this time I will test the limits of your abilities. Show me the true strength of a human fighter." Rin nodded. "I will do my best, and I will learn from you as well." Strength is not only about fighting. It is also about understanding your opponent. The duel began. Mara struck immediately, faster and harder than before. She had anticipated Rin's movements based on their previous encounter, but he did not follow the expected patterns. His agility was remarkable. He dodged, weaved, and countered with precision. Every time Mara thought she had an opening, Rin adapted. Mara's surprise grew. He did not rely on advanced technology or overwhelming force. His skill came from thought, timing, and adaptability. Each movement was calculated yet flexible. He used the environment to his advantage, turning obstacles into shields and cover. He turned her own attacks against her, forcing Mara to retreat in ways she had never experienced before. "Impressive," Mara admitted aloud. "You are more than I expected. Your speed, your timing, your thinking. It is unlike anything I have seen." Rin responded without words. He continued to fight, testing Mara, observing her reactions and exploiting small openings. Mara realized that this was not a duel she could win through strength alone. She would have to think, adapt, and match his creativity. Hours passed. Mara found herself pushed to her limits. She had never felt this exhausted in a duel before, not physically but mentally. Rin forced her to consider new possibilities, to think in ways she had never needed to think. She realized that human strength was more than myth. It was real, and it was extraordinary. At one point, Rin feigned a stumble, baiting Mara into a counterattack. She struck instinctively, only to realize too late that he had predicted her move. He rolled aside and struck a weak point in her armor, leaving a minor mark. Mara stared in shock. The human had outsmarted her, you see? Rin said calmly. Strength is not always physical. Adaptability, foresight, and courage can match power in ways you may not expect. Mara took a deep breath. She had never been outsmarted like this before. She had fought countless warriors, monsters, and entire fleets, but Rin was different. He used intelligence and creativity to overcome obstacles that sheer skill could not. Mara realized that humans had survived in the galaxy not despite their weaknesses, but because of their ability to turn weaknesses into advantages. Your species, Mara began, her voice quieter than usual, may be underestimated, but you are not weak. You are remarkable, Rin nodded. Humans have survived for thousands of years through adaptability, ingenuity, and perseverance. We face challenges and find ways to overcome them, no matter the odds. The duel continued, growing more intense. Mara tested every technique she had learned over decades. Rin met each challenge with calm calculation. He countered her most advanced strikes, anticipated her feints, and adapted to her style in real time. Mara felt a growing respect for him, mixed with a new awareness of human potential. By the end of the duel, neither fighter had claimed complete victory. Both were breathing heavily, their bodies showing signs of strain, but their minds were sharp, focused, and alert. Mara lowered her weapon, recognizing that Rin had done something extraordinary. You have proven yourself once again, Mara said. Humans are not just myths. They are capable of extraordinary strength far beyond what I imagined. Rin smiled faintly. We do not seek glory. We seek to survive, to learn, and to protect those we care about. Strength is measured not by what you can destroy, but by what you can endure and overcome. Mara considered his words. She realized that humans had qualities her people often overlooked: ingenuity, determination, and courage. They survived by thinking differently, adapting to challenges, and refusing to surrender. In facing Rin, she had learned something her countless victories had never taught her. Strength is more than skill and power. You have my attention, Rin, Mara said finally. I will watch humans more closely. I want to see how far your species can go. Perhaps there is more to learn from you than I realized. Rin nodded. You are welcome to observe. Humans are capable of much more than myths describe. You may be surprised by what you see next. As Mara returned to her ship, she felt a sense of anticipation and curiosity, unlike anything she had known. Humans were no longer stories to laugh at. They were real, formidable, and extraordinary. She had laughed at the myths of human fighters, but Rin had shown her that some myths were based on truth. Mara understood now that the galaxy was full of surprises. She had assumed humans were weak, fragile, and easy to dismiss. She had been wrong. And she knew without a doubt that she would face Rin and his people again. When that day came, she would be ready, but she would also respect the strength she had witnessed. A strength that was not only physical but mental, creative and enduring. For the first time in her life, Mara felt something new, a desire to learn, to observe, and to understand a species that could change her perspective on the galaxy forever. Humans were no longer myths. They were real. And their true strength had only just begun to reveal itself. The calm of space was deceptive. Mara's ship floated silently above a small moon while the horizon patrolled nearby, its crew unaware of the danger lurking in the sector. Mara had been following Rin for days, observing his strategies and the coordination of his crew. She had grown to respect him, even admire the human's ingenuity, yet she had not expected what was about to happen. Sensors aboard Mara's ship detected a massive warship approaching from beyond a nearby asteroid belt. Its design was unlike anything she had seen. Towering, armed with weapons capable of obliterating entire fleets, it moved with intent, scanning the sector for targets. Mara's eyes narrowed as she analyzed the readings. This was not a routine patrol. This was a ship sent to destroy anything in its path. She activated communication with Rin. Rin, a warship is approaching. Its weaponry is far beyond anything your vessel could withstand alone. I suggest you retreat, Rin's calm voice replied. We cannot retreat. That ship would destroy the moon if we left civilians and installations nearby. We have to stop it. Mara's first instinct was to warn him to leave and save his crew, but she paused. There was determination in his voice, the same determination she had seen during their duels. Humans did not give up when faced with impossible odds. She realized that retreating was not an option if she wanted to understand them fully. Very well, Mara said. We will work together. But you must follow my lead. I will not allow your ship to be destroyed. Rin agreed immediately. We will cooperate, but you must be willing to adapt as well. Strength alone will not be enough against that ship. Mara's respect for him grew further. Humans relied not just on strength but on intelligence, adaptability, and teamwork. She activated her ship's defenses and weapons systems, while guiding Rin to a strategic position near the asteroid belt. The massive warship entered the sector, its weapons scanning, energy shields glowing ominously. Mara and Rin coordinated their movements carefully. She had the firepower, he had agility and creative tactics. Alone, neither would stand a chance, but together, they had a chance to survive. Rin piloted the horizon expertly, weaving between asteroids, dodging long-range attacks, and using the environment to his advantage. Mara launched targeted strikes against the warship's weapon systems, while Rin used small drones and missiles to disrupt its shields. Each attack and counterattack required precise timing and communication. Neither vessel wasted a single move. "This is incredible," Mara said through the communication link. "You think differently than any opponent I have faced. Your tactics are unconventional yet effective." Rin's voice was calm, almost confident. "That is what humans do. We find solutions in unexpected ways. We adapt and learn. You cannot rely on patterns alone." The warship retaliated, sending waves of energy beams and missiles toward them. Mara's ship blocked several attacks, but she could see the horizon was struggling to evade the most dangerous strikes. She realized that Rin's crew was small, and their resources were limited. They needed something more than firepower to survive. Mara made a split-second decision. "Rin, I will draw its attention. You attack its weak points while I keep it focused on me." Rin nodded without hesitation. "Understood. Timing is critical. I will wait for the right moment." Mara accelerated toward the massive ship, her movements precise and aggressive. She unleashed volleys of energy blasts, forcing the enemy to focus on her instead of the horizon. The warship responded with deadly precision, firing back in a relentless barrage. Mara used her agility and skill to evade the attacks, each maneuver calculated to protect Rin while keeping the enemy occupied. Rin seized the opportunity. Using small drones and advanced targeting systems, he identified critical points on the warship's hull. With carefully timed strikes, he damaged its energy systems and disrupted its weapons arrays. Mara watched in amazement as the human fighter used creativity and strategy to exploit weaknesses that her own sensors had barely detected. "You are remarkable," Mara said aloud. "I never thought a human could do this," Rin replied calmly. "We have to. If we do not, everyone in this sector will suffer. Strength is not enough. Thinking, planning, and adapting are what save lives." The battle intensified. The massive warship adapted to their strategies, firing unpredictable attacks and using advanced countermeasures. Mara and Rin were forced to adjust continuously. Each move required analysis, quick thinking, and flawless coordination. The human's resourcefulness complemented Mara's raw power perfectly. At one point, the warship launched a massive energy wave aimed at both vessels. Mara acted instinctively, using her ship's shields to absorb most of the attack. Rin simultaneously deployed drones that reflected part of the energy back at the enemy, weakening its defenses. Mara realized that without Rin's ingenuity, the attack would have destroyed both ships. "You see the difference?" Rin asked calmly. "We do not rely on power alone. We use our minds and the environment. That is how humans survive." Mara's respect for him deepened. She had always believed victory was about strength, skill, and training. Now she understood that strategy, adaptation, and creativity were just as important. Humans had survived for centuries not because they were physically stronger, but because they thought differently and never gave up. Hours passed in the battle. Each side exchanged attacks, counters, and evasions. Mara and Rin's coordination grew stronger with every move. Mara realized that humans had the ability to teach even the most experienced warrior new ways of thinking. Rin's calm, analytical mind had become an equal partner in the fight, not just an ally. Finally, Rin identified a critical weakness in the enemy ship's central power core. "Mara, we need a combined strike. You distract it and I will hit the core. This may disable its weapons and give us a chance to escape or destroy it." Mara nodded. "Understood. Let's do this." Mara moved aggressively, drawing the warship's attention completely. Its weapons focused on her, firing continuously. She dodged and countered, using all her skill to survive while maintaining the distraction. Every movement was precise, calculated, and dangerous. Meanwhile, Rin launched a daring attack. Using his drones and precise targeting, he struck the warship's power core directly. Mara watched as the massive ship shuddered, its weapon systems faltering. Sparks flew, and alarms blared throughout the enemy vessel. Mara struck one final time, delivering a powerful blow to its shield generators. The warship's defenses collapsed, leaving it vulnerable. Rin's attack on the power core finally caused the massive ship to lose control. Mara and Rin quickly coordinated a final maneuver, forcing the warship to crash into a nearby asteroid field, neutralizing the threat. Silence returned to the sector. Mara's ship floated calmly, the horizon nearby. Both vessels had survived, battered but intact. Mara looked at Rin, her eyes reflecting a mixture of exhaustion and awe. Humans are extraordinary, Mara said. I have fought countless opponents, but I have never witnessed creativity, courage, and adaptability like this. You are not just myths. You are a force to be respected, Rin nodded. We survive because we have to. We face challenges, adapt, and never give up. That is what humans do. Strength alone is never enough. It is thinking, strategy, and courage that make the difference. Mara studied him silently. For the first time, she realized that she had been wrong to underestimate humans. They were not weak, they were not fragile, and they were not simple. They were resilient, inventive, and unyielding. In the face of impossible odds, humans had survived and triumphed. She turned to her ship's systems and sent a message to Commander Talo. Talo, humans are not to be underestimated. They are stronger than we believed. Their strength is not in technology alone, but in creativity, courage, and adaptability. We must observe and learn from them, not dismiss them. Talo's reply was cautious. Understood, Mara, but do not let admiration cloud judgment. Humans are unpredictable, and their potential may surprise even the best of us. Mara smiled faintly. I have learned that already. This is only the beginning. Humans are not only survivors. They may change the balance of power in the galaxy if we do not respect them. Rin and his crew prepared to continue their journey. Mara watched them, realizing that humans had a way of making even the most skilled alien warriors rethink their assumptions. They had survived impossible odds, and they had done so with courage, intelligence, and ingenuity. For the first time in her life, Mara did not feel superior. She felt challenged, inspired, and curious. Humans were no longer myths. They were real, formidable, and capable of extraordinary feats. The encounter had changed her perception, not just of Rin, but of an entire species. The battle against the massive warship had left both Mara's and Rin's ships battered but intact. The stars stretched endlessly around them, a silent witness to the courage and ingenuity displayed by humans and aliens alike. Mara sat in her command chair, her mind still processing the events of the past hours. She had always believed herself unmatched, the finest warrior of her species. Yet Rin and his crew had proven her assumptions wrong. Humans were not just survivors. They were thinkers, innovators, and fearless fighters. Mara activated her communication system, sending a message to Rin. Rin, I wish to speak with you personally. Not as an opponent, not as a combatant, but as a warrior seeking understanding. Rin's calm voice replied almost immediately. I am ready. We have much to discuss. Mara arranged to meet Rin at a nearby neutral station, one untouched by the battle. When she arrived, Rin and his crew were already there, their movements precise and composed despite the recent conflict. Mara stepped off her ship and approached Rin, feeling something she had never experienced before. Genuine respect. You have taught me much, Mara said, her voice steady but full of emotion. I underestimated humans. I laughed at the myths, believing them to be exaggerations. But you have shown me that humans are extraordinary. Rin inclined his head slightly. We do what we must to survive, to protect those we care for, and to face challenges with determination. That is our way. Strength alone does not define us. Courage, creativity, and perseverance do. Mara considered his words carefully. She realized that the myths she had once mocked were born from truth. Humans had survived countless challenges, adapting and thriving against impossible odds. Their ingenuity and resilience were unmatched in many ways. You have my respect, Rin, Mara said finally. Not just for your skill, but for your mind and your courage. You have proven that humans are not weak, and that they can be a force in this galaxy. Rin smiled faintly. Respect is mutual, Mara. Your skill, strategy, and leadership are extraordinary. Humans in Xylan may be different, but we can learn from each other. Mara nodded. She had fought countless battles, faced numerous opponents, and conquered many challenges. Yet Rin had changed her perspective in a way no other being had. She realized that strength was not measured solely by power, but by adaptability, intelligence, and determination. Humans had survived, thrived, and fought, not because they were physically stronger, but because they refused to give up. The Horizon's crew moved efficiently, repairing minor damage and preparing for the next leg of their journey. Mara observed them closely, noting their coordination, resourcefulness, and calm under pressure. Every action was deliberate, every decision calculated. These humans were more than fighters, they were thinkers, planners, and problem solvers. Mara felt a sense of awe she had never known. She had always believed that victory belonged to the strongest, the fastest, and the most skilled. Yet Rin and his crew had shown her that victory could belong to those who thought, adapted, and persevered. Humans were not myths. They were real and they were remarkable. Rin, Mara said, I wish to continue observing humans. I want to learn more about your species, your methods, and your perspective. Perhaps we can work together in ways that benefit both our kinds. Rin nodded. You are welcome to learn. Humans have much to teach, but we also have much to learn from others. Cooperation is key to survival and growth in the galaxy. Mara's eyes brightened. She had never considered cooperation with humans before. Her species prided itself on strength and conquest, yet Rin had shown her a different path. Collaboration, understanding, and respect. This realization opened a new horizon for her, one filled with possibility and hope. Days passed as Mara traveled alongside the horizon. She observed the humans in action, learning their strategies, their decision-making, and their ways of adapting to unexpected challenges. Every encounter, no matter how small, reinforced her growing respect. Humans were resourceful, creative, and unyielding. They survived by thinking differently and never surrendering. During one training exercise, Mara watched Rin demonstrate a complex maneuver to his crew. He had devised a way to use limited resources to overcome a simulated threat that Mara's own species would have struggled to counter. Mara felt a sense of admiration she had never known. Humans were not just fighters. They were innovators, thinkers, and survivors in every sense of the word. You're extraordinary, Mara admitted quietly, speaking to Rin after the exercise. Your species has endured challenges I cannot imagine. You adapt, you persevere, and you never give up. That is strength beyond anything my people have measured. Rin smiled. Humans have survived because we must. We face the impossible and find ways to overcome it. Courage, creativity, and determination define us as much as skill or strength. Mara realized that this was the essence of human strength. It was not just physical power, nor was it advanced technology. It was the mind, the heart, and the will to survive and protect others. Humans had proven themselves capable of extraordinary feats, not through raw force but through ingenuity, strategy, and unyielding resolve. The realization shifted Mara's perspective entirely. She had once laughed at the myths of human fighters, believing them to be exaggerated stories. Now she understood that the myths were born from truth. Humans were not just capable, they were remarkable. They could change the balance of power in the galaxy if given the chance. Mara's admiration for Rin grew with each passing day. She had faced countless warriors, but none had challenged her in the way Rin had. He had forced her to rethink assumptions, adapt her strategies, and recognize the extraordinary potential of an entire species. Humans were not myths. They were real, resilient, and inspiring. Finally, Mara turned to Rin with a sense of purpose. I wish to go to Earth, she said. I want to see where humans come from, how they live, and what has made them so strong. Perhaps there is much my people can learn from your world. Rin nodded, his expression calm but pleased. You are welcome. Earth has much to show and humans have much to teach. You may be surprised by what you find. Mara felt a thrill of anticipation. She had traveled the galaxy, faced countless threats, and achieved victories beyond imagination. Yet nothing had prepared her for this. The realization that humans, once considered weak myths, could be a force to respect and learn from. As the Horizon and Mara's ship traveled together toward Earth, Mara reflected on everything she had witnessed. Humans had survived impossible odds, adapted to challenges that would have crushed others, and demonstrated courage, creativity, and perseverance at every turn. They had changed her perception of the galaxy and her place within it. For the first time, Mara felt hope, not just for herself but for the potential of humans and her species to coexist, learn from one another, and face the future together. Humans were not just fighters. They were a symbol of resilience and ingenuity. Their strength was not measured by power alone, but by their will to endure and overcome. As Earth came into view, Mara felt a sense of awe she had never experienced. The planet was vibrant, full of life, culture, and history. It was the birthplace of the species that had challenged her, taught her, and inspired her to see the galaxy differently. Mara realized that humans had the potential to shape the future in ways no one had imagined. Rin piloted the horizon smoothly, guiding Mara's ship safely into orbit. Mara looked down at the planet, her mind alive with questions and curiosity. She wanted to understand humans fully, to learn from them and to witness what made them truly extraordinary. "You have changed my perspective," Mara said quietly to Rin. "I no longer see humans as myths. You have shown me your strength, your courage, and your ingenuity. I have much to learn from your species." Rin smiled. "Humans are capable of more than most believe. Strength is not only in power, but in the mind, the heart, and the will to survive. You will see, Mara, that we are more than stories or legends. We are a force in the galaxy, and perhaps a force for good if others respect our ways." Mara nodded. She had learned that strength was not just physical skill, but the ability to adapt, think, and persevere. Humans had proven themselves in ways her people had not expected, and they had earned her respect. She knew that she would continue to observe, learn, and perhaps even cooperate with humans in the future. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, and Mara now understood that humans were not only survivors, they were leaders, innovators, and fighters capable of extraordinary feats. She had laughed at the myths of human fighters once, but now she knew the truth. Humans were remarkable, inspiring, and a force that could not be ignored. As Mara and Rin looked down on Earth together, a new chapter of understanding and respect began. Mara knew that the myths were only the beginning. Humans had much more to show the galaxy, and she was ready to witness it all. The stars stretched endlessly around them, and Mara felt a sense of purpose and excitement unlike anything she had ever known. Humans were no longer myths. They were real. They were extraordinary, and their story was only beginning.